So today we are going to be doing a coaching session on EU West for someone called Ectoplasm. They are currently gold 4 in solo queue. I had to kind of check out their profile on op.gg a little bit because to kind of gauge what they mainly play, and then going on like the op.gg, they mainly play Leona and Morgana. The Morgana win rate is pretty good. And overall the profile is looking pretty positive anyway. So they're already doing a lot of good things. I will say though, like if you look at the profile more recently, they haven't been doing too great. They did lose a couple of those Morgana games. It looks like they've been trying to play other different champions as well, and it's like severely backfiring on them. So I don't know if they're just getting bored playing Morgana and Leona a lot. Morgana is like the overwhelming more recent champion that they've been playing. Looks like they're having like hot instances of like a random go at Ashe support, which I wouldn't recommend anyway. A random go at Pantheon support, which I wouldn't recommend people play anyway. And then Senna support, which once again, if you watch my tier list, like it's kind of hit and miss really with Senna a lot already. So playing like 3 kind of weak champions here anyway. I'm just going to take that as like testing anonymously for like, you know, just randomly wanting to play something different. Even like Nami is kind of like only okay-ish right now. I think for the fact that this person plays a lot of Morgana and they have a high win rate anyway, and that they've lost some of these games, maybe we can help them push them in the right direction to improve their Morgana climb a little bit. In terms of itemization, Leandri's seems absolutely fine. And then you got the Sork's boots, which is also fine too if you're going to want to do a DPS kind of Morgana. Frozen Heart is a tiny bit questionable over something like a Zhonya's. I don't really feel like looking at their team there's a specific reason why you'd want to go Frozen Heart over a Zhonya's. So I do question that. Other than that though, doesn't seem too crazy. We've seen a couple of people that have kind of crazy builds recently. But yeah, if you are interested, by the way, in getting coaching from me, we're about to jump into one of these games. I give free coaching to tier 3 subs at the moment. So for the month of February, if you're a tier 3 sub, make sure you follow the information on the Discord and how to apply for that free coaching if you are a tier 3 sub. So all the information is on discord.gg/Bizzleberry. There's a tier 3 Twitch sub. I think we're going to have a look at this one, this 30-minute game, this 4-6-18. Who are they laning with? Do we really want to do a laning phase with this new AD carry though? I don't know actually. Maybe let's go down a little bit and see if there's a loss. I like doing losses. Okay. It's just that the new AD carry, any games with that is going to be a little bit iffy. Let me check this one then instead. Okay, this is a bit more standardized. That's like what, a Sivir Morgana versus a Misfortune Sona. I think I'd rather do this one. I think stat wise, I think this one would overall be a more interesting game, but because it's Smolder AD carry, I think it's going to be a little bit too unstable anyway, no matter what, whether it's going to be a win or a loss. Just in the laning phase, it's just going to be a complete mess in terms of, yeah. So we'll just do this one. We'll do this one here. So these sessions usually will last about an hour long. And hey everyone in the Twitch chat, hope everyone's doing alright. Good morning, good morning. Alright, let's see what we got ourselves here. So yeah, Misfortune Sona versus the Sivir Morgana. Morgana is the person that we're having a look at and kind of keeping an eye on this game. Probably not a huge amount to talk about at the start. I mean, obviously when you're playing Morgana, you might be thinking about doing an invade with the binding. Gee, there's a lot of pings for that one ward, holy moly. Pulling. Okay. So I personally don't like playing with a Sivir anyway, and you got playing with like a double spell shield composition. I think the double spell shields overall is kind of overkill. So yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate that you are playing with a Sivir. Okay, I mean, there's already some kind of iffy stuff here straight off of the bat, I'd say. Sivir's pushing in. You've kind of got a little bit of lane priority right now, and obviously, you know, Sinner's not going to be able to do a huge amount. I think, you know, you can already see this minion waves coming in. I think it's, you know, you should already know that it's not going to be landing. The problem is when you already throw out your Q, it's already got about a 10-second cooldown, so it does mean that Sona can kind of do whatever she likes. She could have gone in better there for some Q poke and stuff, for example, so... yeah, and also, is this your ward that you're placing down? I don't like you warding that brush if you are warding that brush. I just want to try and see if that is... Yeah, it is your ward. Like, because you've already got the lane pushing in here, there's no reason to ward this brush, because there's no way that this Sona or this Misfortune should be walking this brush anytime soon. You guys are going to be hitting level 2. Wave's already pushing, so by the time this ward actually gets any use, it's probably like when it rebounds potentially off of the turret, like this ward is basically useless. This ward should be placed looking out for a jungle gank if you are like concerned about that, and probably should just be dumping it down just in case you do get cheesed. That's perfectly a valid reason to put a ward in like the tri-brush or the river. There's no reason to put a ward in the brush right next to you if you're already pushing in the wave. Oh yeah, I would like to see you do that a little bit more though, in terms of like helping push in the wave and making sure that you do get that level 2, because I feel like they got level 2 a little bit too close to you guys. It's a good binding. Yeah, it's just kind of awkward right now on Morgana. Okay, so alright, another thing now as well is that playstyle on Morgana is a little bit different now this season because of World Atlas. So previous seasons we've had Spell Thief's Edge, right? And we had to W poke a lot in order to get gold stacks. Also you're gonna get like mana flow band stacks, but gold stacks was like the primary reason why you'd go like W level 2 and then start spamming that down. You don't have to do that as much now this season as Morgana, because you can just like auto attack a minion. You get tiny bit less gold, but it does save you mana a lot. Like the W alone costs 70 mana. And also like the W damage when they're already 4 HP does like tickle damage, like 10 damage per tick or something ridiculously low. So the only reason why you would necessarily want to do a W over like in the laning phase here is like knocking off Misfortune Strut, or when you land a Q, you're doing a W damage overlay. I don't think it's worth the mana really now, especially at this point very early on, in order to just like hit them for one World Atlas stack for an extra tiny bit of gold. Also, I don't think you even necessarily even got gold for doing that W proc. I can check, but because you hit the minion there and you got the gold, so like you're doing this W stack. The only thing that you're getting from that is a mana flow band stack. I'm going to keep an eye on this early on. I think doing this potentially very early on is okay because you have so much mana here anyway. But if you're doing this constantly throughout the laning phase, right, I would say it's not worth. So it's totally worth it to kind of think about, really. Like, it would have been better, obviously, like, if you had, like, when you landed that Q, to then have the W available to you, just to do, like, a tiny bit more damage for the Misfortune. Obviously, that damage will go up. Morgana's W does more damage when the target that you're hitting with the W has less HP, as you probably already know. So just, like, utilizing that a little bit better would be nicer. I'd be interested to see if you go, like, another point in damage, or if you go like a point in Spell Thieves, because I don't think you even need a point in Spell Thieves here. Like, not Spell Thieves, it's Spell Shield in your E. I think you can go level 3 here, Greed for another point in Binding. There's nothing really to block here, there's no crowd control here. So that, like here, that for example, that there's no need to do that. This is what I was worried that was going to happen. Hey Plants, thank you for the tier 3 sub.
Behave Plants just resubbed for 49 months. Always great coaching you, woo.
Thank you very much, Plants. It's very, very kind of you. A drop of Coke. So yeah, this is what I was already kind of like seeing and getting ready to identify. So like here, for example, you don't even have a world Atlas proc. You have a mana flow ban proc. It's not worth using the W because look at the mana on the Morgana now here. But you missed the Q. But then it's like, why are we Wing that? And look at your mana now. Like if the Sivir ends up staying in lane, you're now going to be setting yourself in like a really bad position. So you're missing the Q, you did the W for nearly no reason, and then it's just like, then you're now on like 30% mana for like, you know. And then you've only really got enough mana for like another Q and a W. So you're gonna hit level 3 here, I'll be very interested to see what you do. Okay, yeah, I know what you're trying to do here, and you need to be extremely careful about that. Because if your AD carry's not on the same wavelength, I'd say like Sivir's mindset is she's got no mana, and she just kind of just wants to auto push in because she's kind of trash. Not necessarily the player, but the champion's just kind of trash. Damage numbers are particularly low early on, especially, right? So I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to move up closer to close the gap between you and the enemy player to land a binding, which, you know, in normal circumstances, if you wanted to land a binding, would be a good idea. The problem is though, you're gonna have nowhere near enough damage to do anything here anyway here by yourself. Sivir might land a Q, maybe walk up for an auto attack, that's all you're really going to get, and look how gigafar overextended you are. Positives to this though, Sona hasn't really got much mana, so the only thing she's only really going to be able to do is auto attacks, maybe an ignite. MF will still hurt you for quite a lot. This ends up being, at best, a equal trade, at worst, a negative trade. Like, there's no real advantage to doing this at all. I'd say like maybe if you were to do this and the circumstances were the same, but Misfortune was like 50% HP, I'd say like go for it. That could potentially get at least a couple of summoners out. But yeah, it's also kind of awkward as well. I'm having a look at the wave state as well. Like, they actually might hit level 3 first here. So yeah, it's really, really awkward. Like, you're not really thinking about like, oh, I'm about to maybe get level 3 here. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so this whole situation shouldn't have happened anyway in the first place. Like, you identify that and you realize it's like almost too late, like you shouldn't be going in here. Misfortune misplays this ridiculously heavily though. So here, there's no reason why she should be here, and like, she should be playing with the minions, so she should be respecting the fact that you still actually haven't used binding. And that the Sona has basically no mana. So the fact that you didn't use your Q and identified that mistake is good. Probably shouldn't have put yourself there in the first place. But the fact that you didn't like just randomly panic Q was good. And then opened up to a situation here where now you somehow made it to play giga mind games with the Misfortune, right? Into baiting her into going overextended position where she shouldn't be. And it's a very easy binding land because of how small this gap is, right? So it's kind of crazy from how in 2 seconds it's gone from you are Giga overextended, and now the Misfortune's Giga overextended. Anyway, really good binding, ignite. It's just really funny how that circumstance arose. You did go Black Shield, E in the panic, but I think you'd already used your Q here anyway, right? Yeah. So you're taking Black Shield at that point, it's fine. And it's nice to see you level that up mid-combat and then self-cast it, so that shows to me that you got like, you're using key bindings and that you're on the ball in terms of that, so that's nice. Here though, I gotta say like, you got summoners off of Misfortune, but if you look at the mana on Sivir and you've already used your Ignite and stuff, getting a kill down here is going to be extremely difficult. I would be like, pushing this wave, reset, and then maybe look for something after that. So help pushing this wave, like now's the time to maybe just whack a W down on the wave. Auto attack, like help Sivir push in here. That's one thing I've noticed you not really do this game at all, is help Sivir like set up the wave properly. Here you just back off and reset. Or catch out the Zed that's roaming. He's interrupting your reset timer, unfortunately. I don't think you're at any risk of dying here. So yeah, you just want to W this wave again, like where under the cannon minion, so that your W comes off quicker. So if you don't know, putting W under the cannon minion reduces the ticks. Does it not say it there? Maybe it's under the passive. Anyway, just put the W under the cannon minion wave, get this pushed in as quickly as possible and look for that reset. And then, because the longer you're taking the reset here, you know, it's just making it so that the misfortunes cooldowns are going to come off at some point quicker, right? You just want this lane shift, and you should be helping pushing in this wave with abilities and auto attacks right now. You shouldn't be looking for like a kill here. Yeah, this is all like way too like risky. Like, okay, that looked like maybe you could have got something there. Like Misfortune's positioning there is really, really bad. But at the same time, your positioning is really, really bad to try and force at this, like, to get a kill out. Just play it safely. Just reset the waves. Come back in with a summer advantage with items and stuff like that. And then look for a kill from there. Because this is looking a bit too desperate. And the longer you're pushed in as well, like, against the more competent enemy jungler, like, you guys would be getting ganked right now, and you'd be putting yourself at mega threat. Like, in most, like, diamond games at this point, you would be dead now. Because you're way too far overextended on no resources. I could also make the same minor argument for the enemy team. They're on, like, no resources, and there is a potential for a tower dive here, but, like, the circumstances here are just super risky. Like, you know that you're not junglers not down here, so there's, like, you know, there's a chance that the enemy jungler could be coming down to help this lane out. There's no reason to... There's no reason... Okay, so here, you're encouraging your AD carry to overextend. Here's a perfectly fine reset. Don't be baited on the fact that there are low resources here on the enemy team, okay? Perfect. This is a really good recall timing. The odds of you getting a kill down here are, like, extremely low under the turret. You're baiting your AD carry to stay in lane. You should be resetting. And now it's like, now you kind of decided, oh, now I want to recall, but the laning, like, this wave now has now been, like, killed off, and now it's a late recall. So now you kind of have to help it, but you're not helping here push in properly now. Okay, now you are, finally. This is the first wave you're actively helping on pushing in. Now you reset. So you should have reset quicker, basically. The amount of risk value of you being ganked there was way too high. Right, honestly, and on a high elo game, you guys would have already been ganked by now. So you need to, like, get used to that and adjust for it, because you don't want to be stuck into, like, the gold overextending mentality. And now, because it's taken so long to reset, right, you should have reset many waves ago, and then come back into the lane. The Misfortune's heal's nearly back off cooldown. So that's now going to be a bit more difficult for you guys to actually look for something, because, you know, her summoner's come back up. She still has no flash, but the fact that she's got heal back is obviously going to make things a little bit more tricky. I think using W here at the start of the laning, like when you're getting back into lane here, is okay, just to get a couple more mana flow band stacks and maybe a tad more gold from World Atlas, but don't let it, like, screw your mana over too much though for doing that. Okay, I don't know why we're warding like this. Okay, I have a couple of issues with everything here. Okay, so on the recall, you've decided to go for oracles, which means more aggressive stance, which is fine, but you are sacrificing, obviously, defensive vision because of it. If you're going oracles before you've completed World Atlas, you're going to have fewer wards down in the bot lane, so that is going to open you up to ganks. The oracles is going to make it so that you can be more aggressive. You did buy a control ward, but honestly, the value of this control ward is really bad. It's really, really, really bad, because someone's already just put a minute and a half ward here, right? So you'll be able to know if they're doing dragon or not. Putting the control ward there, all that does is basically say if the enemy has a ward there that they can't see the dragon. I would be more inclined, like, if you're looking to be more aggressive and try and set up for plays, the control should be either in this brush here or this brush here, in my opinion, to help facilitate the fact that you want to be aggressive, take advantage of the fact that Misfortune doesn't have flash, and give Lee Sin a chance to potentially play for bot side. Yeah. I don't see the point in this control at all. Also because, I mean, it's solo queue after all. Like, Sivir should have backed off, but because you did wander off quite severely. Yeah, she took a big trade here. And you don't have a way of... I know you're trying to gank your own lane here, but it's virtually impossible. Maybe if you were level 6, you could come back right behind here and then do like a double ult, but what's the follow-up going to be, right? Like, Lee Sin isn't here. See, Sivir is already taking a massive amount of damage, and they can easily switch to her if they want to. Like, that you aren't a real threat here, coming in from this side. The only thing that could be like, are they worried about like Lee Sin maybe coming down or something here? I'm gonna be honest, enemy bot lane's playing is super bad as well. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I just hate this whole situation completely. Like, this is enemy bot lane, the blue side bot lane are playing this ridiculously badly, and I think I'm a bit annoyed at them. Like, they haven't got any vision here, which you did oracles up, to be fair. This is why I'm not a fan of going oracles like super early. Like, I think, okay, so in my opinion, right, if you're going to use oracles for aggressive in lane, you're using it to clear out the lane vision in the brushes so that your jungle can sneak in potentially, or have brush control deniage, right? Or being able to throw skill shots from the brushes. Okay, if you're using oracles to go clear up here, especially in solo queue, conveying that information over to a solo queue jungle is basically going to be near impossible. Like, having a controlled here basically tells your jungler, like, there is no vision here, full stop, you don't have to worry about that, right? I think in solo queue you should be using the oracles. If you're buying that before World Atlas has got wards in, you're using it just to get the brush control. Also, you did, like, when you were walking up here, like, anyway, like, when you were walking up here with oracles, you didn't even check this tri-brush to see if it was warded. Like, this could have been warded super easily. I'm surprised you didn't, like, just sidestep over and just check this was no ward here too. So really, everything about this is super weird. Like, enemy bot lane hasn't even like, Giga overextended and haven't even warded. It's a good binding. Ignite on the Sona. Self Black Shield. I mean, as I said, like, the back shield here hasn't really got a massive amount of value. It's another good binding. So there you had to use your controller to get vision of the brush. Yeah. Okay, so I can tell from this that you're like a really aggressive player, but you're not taking in all the information of what's going on in the lane, right? Your Sivir had just got put down to 50% HP. You're looking for a flank without your ulti. I'm surprised you got, honestly, I'm surprised you got as much as you did with this flank anyway, right? The only thing that I can think of is like the enemy bot lane were maybe like broke because they'd have no vision here at all. Like, oh, Lee Sin is like right here, like straight away, right? Because if they had appropriate vision, which most bot laners will do, even at gold, right? They would just turn on you straight away, right? There's no reason for these two to be actually scared of you. This is why I'm quite annoyed at the situation from the enemy bot lane's perspective, because honestly, the enemy bot lane are playing this like super bad, and you should be. This is all like kind of like positive reinforcement or negative like stuff like this. I can see in your mind like you're doing here, like you feel like you're doing good things, right? Enemies scared of you. You're not being punished directly from this. But everything, honestly, that you're doing here, in my opinion, is wrong. Like, if you look where the Sivir is, you're literally by yourself here, and there's no way, like, as a Morgana here, that you're going to be doing anything. If the enemy just turn onto you, you're going to take such a bad trade. Like, that initial QW is, like, overall, is kind of fine. But because the Sivir's, like, really worried about you, because you're going super far overextended, she's coming in to try and back you up. And then it's like, oh, and then it's like the ignite on the Sona, I don't understand either, because there is nothing happening here. So you've kind of just wasted your ignite. Like, if you landed your binding and then ignite it after that and then popping down your W to show that there's kill potential, I think that's fine. But you whacking down your ignite here when your binding's still on a 3-second cooldown is just over-inciting this Sivir to overextend on this resource, thinking that maybe you're going to be chucking out a binding and that this Sona's about to die. So that makes, hopefully that kind of makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the Sivir can't just join in. I mean, the Lee Sin being here, it's a shame like he took so long to come down. But I just don't like anything about that play. Like, maybe if you're duo with the Sivir there and you're communicating, you can maybe communicate like to the Sivir. I'm okay here, let me poke. I can handle this. I've got like kind of full resources. I can kind of be annoying to them. I think that's fine, especially after they didn't trade onto you after this situation. They both should just instantly like locked onto you there, but they both tried to like sort of run away from you. It was really weird. I think you can. That was like your bindings are really good. I'm gonna be honest, your bindings are pretty cracked. You obviously know how to play like mechanically in the Morgana really well. It's a shame like Lee Sin misses that like the Q there, because if he lands that, Sona could probably die. Ends up being a bit messy after the misfortune, but you know, you could maybe get something from that. I think it's smart there too, what you're doing here. Like you're waiting in Fog of War, they can't see you, to try and look for that binding snipe. I think that's good. And I think also it's one of the situations where you're fine to stay in lane as well. Like usually you would want to, if your AD carry died, you don't usually want to be in lane by yourself and get caught like in this kind of situation. But because they literally have no mana and both 50% HP, you just kind of want to keep them in lane as long as possible now. This allows at least the Sivir to come back in lane, right? And then them not being able to spend the gold that they had from killing the Sivir earlier. So you're pretty healthy here. You wouldn't be able to necessarily buy a massive amount, I'm assuming. Yeah, you got 660 gold. It's not like the most amount. Like you could always buy like a couple of little things. But it's not like giga game changing. I think it's more game changing just stopping both of these two people recalling. They got a total value of 1,800 gold. So stopping them spending 1,800 gold is pretty significant. And it's safe to do so because A, you've got like, you're a pretty safe champion anyway with Black Shield, right? And B, like they literally have no mana. So the only thing that would really be able to intercept you is like the enemy jungler, which you at the moment actually have like okay vision. So you should be able to spot that out relatively quickly. And yeah, I think it's just worth stopping these guys from recalling as long as possible. Like here at this point, it's okay to kind of like W poke if they're looking to recall, just to cancel those recalls. Well, I said to cancel those recalls, not just throw them out randomly. But yeah. Okay, I don't know what's going on here though. Like the W poke here is weird. This self Black Shield's also really weird. I don't know what we're doing that for. They've got literally no mana to be able to use. But you want to push in this lane and you want to either like make it so like they have to stay in lane in order to be able to soak up the XP, or they have to give up the XP. You guys have been dragged behind you. Like, okay, right. Okay, this is a tough call, right? So you know that Zed's behind you, and Zed just killed your Lee Sin. So you know there's a scary jungler potentially behind you. And you know it is safe to go for him because your mid has prio, and you obviously have bot lane prio. The thing I'm having a hard time kind of judging over, I think honestly in my own game, I would ignore the Zed. And I would make sure first that there isn't anyone bot looking to do something. Right, so this misfortune, for example, I would have seen this misfortune be quite low HP and she's still under turret. I would actually be looking in a situation. Yes, there's a scary Zed behind me. But I think you guys could probably take it 2v1. Because it would pretty much be a 2v1. If the Sona's not down here, MF's not really going to be able to take part in a lot. Yeah, my main concern here would be like I would just be wasting my time. Because Zed has many different ways of escaping here. And it's going to be quite hard to track exactly his pathing. And if anything, he's probably going to go more towards like this, that the pathing here was his most likely of him going into this brush and then into his own jungle, which is obviously quite far away from you two anyway, if you were looking to chase him. So I would feel like I would be like wasting 30 seconds of my time to maybe try and track down a Zed on a maybe, rather than on a guaranteed denial. Do you know what I mean? Like this is like a kind of like a, let's just say a 50-50, whether or not you get to chase up the Zed or not. And then even, let alone maybe even get a kill on him is like another long shot as well. So it's like a lot of maybes and ifs and buts here. But down here you've got a guaranteed. You got a guaranteed situation where you can deny an enemy AD carry from taking farm and CSing, and you could even look for a potential tower dive here as well. Especially if you get to land your binding. You could do something extreme, like if the Zed wasn't there, I would maybe look at doing something extreme, like doing like a ignite, like flash potential, like, you know, get the AD carry dead. So yeah, I think just go for the guaranteed stuff rather than the coin flip ifs and maybes, because now it actually gives MF a chance to come back into this lane a little bit. If she ults this wave, yeah, that's actual perfect MF play. Now she ults the wave, forces a reaction from you guys. You guys now need to clear this. Then now MF has actually got a better reset calling because you guys wandered up. I hope you guys reset after this wave. Please tell me you reset after this wave. No, you can't chase the Sona here. Okay, so once again... Okay, now we're getting into bad territory. You should be resetting. I know Sona's there, right? But look at the map. You've got no mid lane prio. And you've already got crap tons of stuff happening topside that your Lee Sin's busy with, right? So yes, Sona is here. But what's stopping Malzahar from necessarily coming down? This jungle situation, you already know you're probably going to lose anyway. Echo might even need to have to assist up here anyway, rather than helping you guys. Like, I would say, like, okay, Sona's doing this, but she actually has map prior to do this, and you already need a reset anyway. I think just let her have the control ward. Like, you're currently now on 1,000 gold, and so is the Sivir, basically. So you got 2,000 gold down here in the bot lane, and you haven't reset. The reset timings have been really not great, actually. And yeah, like catching the Sona anyway with the E just being popped like that, it's always going to be pretty difficult. There's a lot going on here. You got two options to potentially come up here, or just ensure that bot lane gets shoved in so that you and the Sivir can get a good reset timing. Yeah, it's just a kind of complete mess. I actually like the Sona's done a really good job here in terms of like the roaming timing, like knowing that MF. She didn't recoil at the same time as her MF, so she's now looking to be proactive on the map, and she's done a really, really good job of that. Okay, it's nice that you get one. Okay, and we just call it. Oh no. Yeah, we just call that as an oopsie. I think he thought he flashed over or something the wall, right? But it was just that passive. There's blobs, right? Yeah, I guess like in animation wise, it does kind of look like he might have flashed over the wall or something. Yeah, that's just kind of rough. It's gonna be a big deal now that you don't have flash. You need to reset at some point though. My main thought of this is just like, when are you actually thinking about resetting? You can't be everywhere at once all at the same time. Like, you're still not even thinking about resetting. Okay, it took way too long for you to reset, and we're resetting now finally on with 1,700 gold in your inventory. I think you really need to start looking at your reset timers, because both recalls have been really off. You haven't recalled, okay. Why are you staying? Okay, it was a good binding, to be fair. And it worked out. Okay. I think this whole situation though, it's nice that it worked out. But once again, it's just like you're taking kind of like, what, too many ifs and buts again? I think you're over-relying on your mechanical binding skills. Like, yeah, but bindings generally, at least this game, I'm sure it's probably in general, seem actually like above average for sure. I'd say you're pretty good at landing your bindings. But I think there's so much of the background gameplay here, like in basic macro stuff in particular, that your mechanics are like kind of carrying you on. And now soon, I know your win rate on Morgana right now is like 70%, but soon you're going to hit a situation where you're not playing against so many stupid people, and that your bindings will end up being a lot more difficult to land. And then that means that you won't be able to rely on your mechanical stuff more, and your macro is just going to fall apart. Okay? So you really need to kind of clamp down on these bad recalls and overextending and stuff like that. And potentially in some cases over aggressiveness, but without even kind of like even taking into consideration the resources on your own AD carry. Like, I think you need to tone it down a little bit a notch and just start playing a little bit more wiser rather than a bit more like you're playing quite Rambo overall. Like here, I don't see the point in this interaction here at all. This is just like a cock swinging contest between the two supports, right? There was no point in that interaction at all. This roam is really weird too, because there's no one mid. Okay, so you got Twitch coming in for the flank here. You don't have flank. Okay, so I've got a couple of grievances with this. Okay, so at this point, Twitch has done a ping forward to indicate that he's wanting to look to ganking mid, right? So you should be getting ready to accommodate that. Okay, so here Malzahar has his passive shield up now, which means he can spell shield block. Okay, it was a really nice collapse from your team, but I would have liked to see you be a bit more proactive here. Like, I didn't like your movement here at all. So where did the pings happen? So yes, at this point you should be saving your abilities. At this point, he can see Echo, right? As soon as he can see Echo, you need to move forward. Like, if there's a gank play that's going to be happening, you need to start moving into the person that's going to be ganked in this situation if this person here is super overextended, right? Okay, if I were you, I would be walking into this guy, spell shielding myself. I would have to maybe, like, because you've already used the W here, like, you would have to, like, auto attack to remove the Malzahar shield and then ult him. Like, here you should be pressing forward, but instead you kind of walk backwards just to spell shield the Echo and then go like, oh, Echo, you do the work here. But here, you're in a prime position here to do more. Like here, he sees the Echo. You know he can see the Echo. You push forward into him diagonally rather than walking away, because it does potentially give them the opportunity to look into getting away further down the map for someone to potentially be able to back him up. Hopefully that makes sense. kind of getting lost there. I think it's because of the Twitch, right? Is it because of Twitch? Yeah, the Zac engaging on the Twitch. But why do you... Wait. Why do you not help the Twitch? You already wasted time heading towards the Twitch. You might as well keep going, right? Make a decision and just go with it. Like, you're already seeing that the Zac's engaging onto the Twitch. Just go up there and help. Because also you doing that as well, if he's like glancing at the minimap when you're doing that, like if I was his Twitch, right, and I saw the Morgana was walking towards me, I would be like, okay, I'm going to be like a little bit more aggressive here because I'm going to get back up. And then if I look again at 2 seconds on the minimap and then I see, oh, Morgana's all the way back over here again, I would actually be thawed. I'd be like, where the hell is Morgana? She was just about to come this way. Like he's kind of already pathing towards you as well. So you have to make a decision and stick with it, otherwise you're going to be baiting into teammates into doing different stuff. Whether or not you would have been able to save him, I mean you had ulti, ignite, black shield could maybe stop some form of crowd control or something here. It would be kind of messy, but you could have tried. Because especially after you already were walking into this direction. Now there's another fight down here that you feel like you should go down to as well, but that's like also, that's like as far if not further. It's even further, yeah, because the distance between here and here is pretty short, especially for you to start putting spells effects on the Twitch. Whereas for you from getting from here all the way down to here, it's like by the time you get down to here, the landscape of this fight is going to be completely different. So I don't know. So yeah, Twitch dies. And exactly what happened, right? So exactly what happened. Twitch started question mark pinging you. Literally, right? Twitch question mark pinging Morgana here. Like, I would be giga confused as well. As I said, like Twitch path to you, thinking that you were gonna come up, and you completely baited him in there into like playing that fight out more than probably he needed to. Because he thought that you were going to come and help him. That's so funny that he question mark pinged you though. After I said this stuff. So the landscape of the fight here. Yeah, it's just a tiny bit too late. Like, if you made the decision sooner to come down here, this could have been a bit different. It's just that you're too far away. You're literally only like 2 or 3 seconds away from this fight. Yeah. Like if you were here like 2-3 seconds quicker, you'd be like roughly where this Lee Sin is. And you could have had a much bigger impact on this fight. But because you just get in here just a tiny bit too late. Like you're doing the right moves in the fight. It's just, once again, it's just macro is your massive issue right now. But absolutely like, not like apart from like randomly Wing and burning through your mana in laning phase, like apart from that, you're landing your abilities, you're using them in the right order. I haven't really got too many complaints of like the actual skill usage on Morgana. It's just that the macro is something that you're gonna need to work on heavily. Otherwise, once you get into Plat and Emerald, which you will do with your win rate on Morgana, that is when you're gonna start feeling like, you know, your mechanics aren't gonna cover the flaws in the macro. Yeah, it's just, I feel like at all stages of this game as well, even when you're behind, you're just playing too, like, aggressively. Like, here is fine, sort of trying to chase up the Zed, but you kind of miss your Q now, so it's like, you're doing your best here to back up with autos and stuff. MF is coming, you need to kind of disengage off of that and try and see if you can help out the Echo if he does randomly slip it over the Zed here. But here at this point, you don't need to do like too many trades, you just want to get out. Okay. Like that is like okay. This is the way you die here though is unnecessary. Maybe you're trying to bait for Lee, but I think that because you're already like 60% HP and it is a mid laner at the end of the day, you do need to give that kind of some respect. Lee Sin, honestly, though, shouldn't be missing that Q, though. Alright. So I think you can just give that a little bit more respect. I don't know if it was meant to be a bait. But yeah. This is like literally the goldest game I've seen in any of my coaching session. There's a lot of mistakes happening across the board from both teams. Yeah. One complaint here. It's nothing too big. But like when you've got ward charges here, and you're having to put yourself in a position out of Fog of War where enemy teammates could be coming down here to back up. Like, just put a control ward in the tri-brush just to cover your rear. Okay. Okay, we need to have a chat about wards and stuff. You've got 3 ward charges here. Your prio here, right, as a support is not damaging Herald, even though you do have damage, right? Once you've done your W on the Herald, right, just move on to securing vision in this Fog of War. This is your current vision on the map. Okay, this whole area is super scary. This whole area here is super scary, okay? You don't have that much information here at all. At the very least, you should be putting a ward in the tip of this brush just to try and see if someone's going to come down. You could also put a ward in this brush here too, just to see if anyone's coming from up here, okay? Right? You need to kind of prioritize that more rather than just standing there and auto-attacking Herald. I wouldn't even use my Q there initially on Herald, because you pulling Herald, enemy team might be aware of that and they might already be starting to head over and you might need that binding. Yeah, so you do what I said. You do. But it's just like a little late. I would have liked that information sooner. Alright, now you can see the Giga pushing in mid. Do not come in from behind them. Oh. Okay. Yeah. You're putting yourself in a really bad position. So, like, you have no mid lane prio. Let's have a look at your vision. You know that there are people pushing in mid. Let's go back 10 seconds. So you know that there are people pushing in mid. You can see on your vision there are at least 3 people mid. Okay. And you have no lane prio mid at all. I know Twitch is saying like he's wanting to maybe come into this play, but it's still then it would be like a 2v3. And it's not like you are fed. And it's like not even like the Twitch is fed. The Twitch is 3-6, okay? Like you don't have the right to take a player disadvantage fight when both of you are like underfed. If you wanted to defend mid, you would recall here and then defend it from your base from this position here. Also, you should be hitting this Scryer's Bloom. I don't know if you're just trying to make this a stealth attack or whatever, but like the odds of the enemy having like this brush warded or having some vision around here is actually really high since they have quite deep mid lane priority anyway. Like the odds of them knowing that you're there in the first place are extremely high. The only like way you don't hit this Scryers is if you use your oracles to scout through to make it so it's so the enemy aren't alerted that someone's in this area, because when you hit this bloom, it's going to ping it on the minimap for everyone, so the enemy will know that someone is there, right? So that could be a reason to not hit it if you're looking to make a stealth play and you had like a... Let's say if this Twitch was like 10-2 or something. You don't want to necessarily reveal that you're there if you're looking for a flank play. Like you can go into this alcove here and then flash over and do a cool ult to set up for the Twitch. That's like the situation where you wouldn't hit this. But because of like how, you know, much weaker honestly you guys are compared to them right now, you just hit the brush and then make sure you're not walking into a trap here, honestly. Like here you can see that the, okay, so here for example, you see that the Twitch is dead and there's still 3 people there. You do not walk in this direction. You do not go here at all. You do not have the right to here. You don't have a pass. You have no license, okay? You're now walking into potential 3v1 where you could get very easy collapse on, especially if they had a ward here, right? You don't know that they have a ward there. You don't know if they do or don't. You have no right to coming into this. You go safe. You go super safe back. You have no one here to protect you. You even have enemy minions on your turret, right? You have absolutely no priority here whatsoever to be able to walk into this lane here like this by yourself. Malzahar sees you. You're kind of lucky that's, like, as I said before, that they don't have a ward there, because Zed would be nearer, and then Sona would be looking to come up here more. Things could have been a lot different. And if you did have a ward, now would be a good time also to start warding your mid lane, to start seeing rotations, and it would have to be a defensive mid lane ward, like around about here, just to see where the enemy team is going to go up, down, if they're going to go up, they're going to go down, they're going to keep pushing into mid. You need that kind of information. That's just MF being random. Okay, once again you got mid pry issues, you're coming into it. Fine. Hey Spoiled, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Welcome to the Berry Bush. Thank you very much. Okay, the team's just kind of opting into just dying one by one, and there's not really much you can do about that. I think your ult's good. You can't really just flash in and ult, to be honest. Yeah, there's not much else you can do in that situation. I think I can't really fault you too much mechanically what you did there. And honestly, as I said, for the majority of the game, your mechanics are not even remotely the issue. I think your mechanics are like pretty good. Your binding hit rate is pretty good. It's your macro is letting you down severely, I'd say. I'd say like with your mechanics, you'd be fine in like Diamond probably. But if you're in Diamond, your macro is honestly at a Gold level, so you would probably struggle to get into Diamond because of the macro issues. You're looking a little bit lost here. I don't feel like you need to be pulled away so much to different circumstances. Okay, so my main issue here is that if you go bot, right, now there's 3 people bot. Right, what's stopping the enemy team at some point at just doing the Baron if all you're going to be having 3 people down on bot side at 21 minutes into the game? You're going to give up by you being bot as well, especially when it's like so deep on bot side. You're giving up pressure on mid and top and mid are also super vulnerable right now. Like your tier 3 mid is on half HP and your tier 3, it's like there's only Twitch that's only really going to be able to defend that. So if you get pulled down to here as well, you're leaving your Twitch and your Sivir by themselves to try and fend off like solo laners that are stronger than them. I don't think you can do that. Like you just have to let whatever happen here happens, otherwise you're just gonna open up to Baron and stuff potentially, or your own mid turrets and things like that. And I think you kind of realized that a little bit, so you're coming back into mid, but you don't have prio. You don't have prio to come back in here now. Like the Malzahar beats you 1v1. And you can't really stop him that much in terms of taking down this turret. He gets to kill your Twitch. So it's just awkward positioning from you in order from this. I think Malzahar once again also plays this kind of weird. But yeah, I'd say from Malzahar's perspective, that's actually kind of worth. You got no tier 3 mid turret now and you got a 1-for-1 for it. So yeah, whereas if you weren't like there in the first place, if you weren't here, being pulled down into bot for some reason, you could have been behind this turret and be in a much better position to actually play defensively. Like getting the kill here isn't really, like it's like, yeah. Like, there's assist gold that you guys get, but losing that tier 3 turret is pretty huge. What rank is this? This is gold 4. I'm not liking your vision setup for objectives either. Like, let's have a look. Let's say, okay, we're coming down to a dragon, right? It's a 3v3, okay? And you guys are definitely on the weaker foot. So you've only got one ward here and one control ward. Alright, you're clearing out mid to give yourselves a little bit of mid prio. You do look a little bit lost. If you're going to be coming down for this dragon, it sucks that you're having to face check this as well. But even more reason to play defensively. Like, you either put... If I were you, honestly, I'd put standard ward in this, you know, your World Atlas ward in this long brush here. Because at some point, probably someone is going to clear out this mid wave and then look to coming straight down to bot if they know that you're at dragon. And then I would put my control wards in this banana brush here just to make sure that, like, if we needed to retreat from the objective, they didn't have vision on us so that we could play around this brush. Because you're going to need vision to see them coming in, and then you're going to need a defensive ward as well to be able to play a team fight around there if needed. Okay, so what do you actually do with your vision? So... yeah, like, there's no... this... I'm sorry, but this upsets me a lot. That this ward is giving you absolutely nothing. Like, especially when we're playing on Ocean Soul. The only thing I can think of is that you missed your ward because it bounces off the dragon, but like, if you feel like you aren't going to do dragon, or if you feel like someone could go into this brush to steal the dragon, right? You need to put that in the brush at the bottom, which I'm sure that you tried to do, but messed it up. I'm amazed that you messed it up. Maybe you're panicking in case like someone jumped over the wall, but like, I will say at the same time, you are face checking so many brushes right now. It's like deeply worrying and scary. And I guess you know that Zed is mid, but you don't fully know the locations of Sona or Misfortune. And this is, yeah, this is the defensive ward that I wanted to talk about. So what happened, exactly what happened was, someone would clear out this mid part that you pushed in, and then they would know that you're going at dragon, and then they will come from mid to dragon. So if you had a ward in this brush, you would have known that the Zed was going to be coming straight down. If you had a control in this brush, also you would have been able to see Zed and maybe play around this brush defensively and be able to react at the fact that Zed is there. Then you move up into this brush, or you make the decision to like move away from him. But because you guys don't even see this Zed, like, you have no vision behind you at all. You guys don't even know that the Zed is there, even though you just had the river priority there. It's a good binding. Yeah, the whole game is literally you relying on your mechanics, and then like everything macro-wise is just out the window. I'd actually say this whole situation is because you did not work ward properly. So you and your team did not have the information that Zed was there. Okay, they now know that Zed is there because of the scuttle. It is a good binding, but you can't fight this. Like, you guys are much weaker than them. This is crazy. Misfortune's positioning is pretty bad, so Echo's making a nice kind of pick here. Why are we on using this early? I'm really confused. Okay, so Zed ulted you. You stasis immediately. There's nothing you can do here though in this position. Yeah, you don't know how to back down from a fight either. Okay, so I think the Zon using the Zed ulti here is like okay. Like it's okay. It nullifies his combo, and honestly it's fortunate that Zed probably did ult you instead of someone else on your team. I think your Zon use here is actually like, it's okay. After this though is where problems start to arise. The binding here is fine. You're Wing over your binding, that is fine. The ignite going down onto the Zac, I'm assuming like you're just thinking maybe he's going to be healing too much, but like that's not really the main problem right now. But sure, whatever, you ignited. Your Sivir is going to die. You don't really have anything left. You just use your Q and your W, and there's no way you stop Zac right now. Zac is so strong. There's nothing that you can do to stop the Sivir from dying. So instead of just backing away and going, okay, there's nothing I can do against this Zac, this fight, this little mini fight that's happening here right now is lost. I need to kind of just remove myself from this situation so I don't die as well. Instead of that, you're thinking, oh, I should just try and trade here and kill the Sona, which is ridiculously greedy. Once again, it's another one of those like 50-50 coin flips that you're just taking for no reason whatsoever. Take the guaranteed. Sivir's gonna die. Just get out of there, and then you don't risk it dying yourself for maybe a kill trade on Sona, right? And then you're giving Zac another kill. Just leave the fight. You don't need to be there at all. So now they get the dragon. Team's just trying to salvage it. It's very much over now at this point. Yeah. Everything's a mess. Everyone's just dying one by one now. There's not much you can do. At least I'm seeing you in a more defensive position now. So that kind of missed everything. Yeah, the Brush of Doom. You do need to be a bit careful about this, because this brush here is always really scary after a team's pushed in. Some teams will just like wait in this brush to pop someone coming around to like ward this brush. I've died a couple of times as support because of this brush. And yeah, Zac's like waiting for it as well. He was kind of just fishing for something here, which I can get. You're a bit desperate. You guys are probably going to lose most fights now anyway. Yeah, that's just kind of like whatever. You managed to stay alive here. I wouldn't go back in at this HP though. If you're going to play this fight on 10% HP, like if you're wanting to stay here, you can't be that close. You actually need to play quite back range. You should be like nearer where the tier 3 turret is and do casts at max range. You shouldn't be looking to come into this. So you kind of died for free there. There's a really good Sona ult. And that's what finished you guys off. So yeah, that game was really messy from both teams. I think without like continuing like repeating myself over and over again, I think your mechanics are like really good. Your mechanics when fights are happening, I don't really have any issues there. I think your team fighting playing is okay. Like, you know when to press the buttons, you know how to land your bindings, which is a pretty big, I know it sounds stupid, like if you, but like amount of Morganas, even in like Emerald and stuff, that consistently miss important bindings and stuff, it's really high. At least in this one game here that I saw, your binding hit rate generally was pretty good. My main issue, as I've said before multiple times, is macro. Your macro is, I'd say, actually very poor. I don't know if you one-trick Morgana, but I see that a lot in a lot of one-tricks because they end up being really good on the champion, and then it's just like their champion abilities just make up for the fact that they're not playing the map as properly as they should be. I have a lot of issues with warding with you. I have a lot of issues of your positioning in lane versus where your AD carry actually is, and being just way too arrogant and cocky. I have issue with you not really putting down wards in the correct locations. There isn't really like any... I want you to make a habit of like putting your most important wards somewhere in the mid lane in the mid game and onwards to see enemy rotations. It should always, depending on the flow in the game, if you're playing defensively, like here, tier 1 towers even still standing, and you've already lost like a couple of turrets, you need to be putting a ward around about where the super creep is to see where rotations are going. Like in high ELO, supports are constantly fighting over like priority of wards. Like there's times where supports will put control wards in the middle of the lane to ensure that the enemy doesn't have vision there, or that they know there's a vision, they have vision there, and the oracles as on cooldown they want to deny that vision. Like here is like super contested vision, and there, I didn't see that from either side here actually. I think both supports did a very bad job at securing ward vision here mid. So that goes to everyone in pretty much every single game, guys. You need to be warding mid lane. Like time after time on coaching, it's not as like, no, you guys in gold minus are not warding the lane as much as you should do. The mid lane is super important because it's closest to two objectives, and you need to be able to see like if they're going to keep on pushing down mid to apply pressure there, or if they're going to be splitting off going into like the Baron or to a dragon. It's the easiest way to be able to see what they're doing. And then your other two normal wards are generally like, depending on the state of the game, defensively or aggressively, they need to be positioned usually towards one of the objectives that are spawning in order to kind of understand like more where the enemy team is going to be. So yeah, the warding game definitely needs to be upped. I don't want to see you putting, I want you to get out of the habit, honestly, of putting random wards in the dragon pit. I think putting wards in pit is overrated. I really do. Unless like you're already doing the objective and yet you know that enemy team are coming behind it, there is no reason to even put a control in the pit. Okay? Just because you're doing the objective does not mean, or thinking about potentially doing the objective doesn't necessarily mean you need to put a control ward there. The only time that there's only two circumstances that I put a control ward in like a Baron pit here, for example. It's that if I put a control ward in the pit, it's because I feel like there's about a fight that's literally about to break out, and there's a chance that I could end up dying from it, and then it could end up being some sort of like weird contention over the Baron upon like after that fight is over, right? That's the only reason why I'd put a control ward down there, just to help out my future. Like I'm thinking like ahead a little bit and thinking like, okay, I need to maybe like have something for my jungler there in case there's a weird situation where like the enemy jungler is like the only person alive, and there's like 3 of us doing Baron, and then the enemy jungler is looking to try and steal like a 50-50 kind of thing. Okay. And then the second situation is that if you're already on the Baron and you know that they're going to contest it, like coming to it like pretty much straight away, and like for example your blue side doing Baron and they're red and they're a lot of them are already alive, right? Or you're trying to sneak it, then you need to know that they don't actually have vision there, because otherwise it's going to spoil the plan. You don't, like a lot of the cases, you don't just need to generically just drop a control in the pit. It's usually better to actually have it in the brush, so you can like play around that, do some entrapment and stuff like that as well. So you don't just need to pop in a control fraud like just for the sake of it, like you did in lane, like you did like very early on in the game. When was it? It's like, yeah, like what was it, that ward there? Like this ward here has just been sat like in the pit. Like this control just got sat in the pit for ages for like absolutely no reason whatsoever. So that ward was there for like what, 3 minutes doing absolutely nothing, whereas it could have been in the control in the tri-brush kind of situation to enforce the fact that your jungler didn't have to worry about walking through wards and stuff like that. I think you're a very aggressive player, and I think I would not be surprised if I looked at some of your other games that you would be very prone to be being ganked by the enemy jungler. Like you had some reset timing issues here for sure in lane, where at one point you were holding 1,600 gold on a support, which is giga illegal, unless you just ended up getting a triple kill, right? So none of that happened. You just took forever to recall and kept pinballing yourself around the map, and taking like 50-50 kind of situations, like chasing the Zed, for example, in the jungle and things like that, instead of just looking for a good reset or guarantees of punishing Misfortune when she's under turret with like really low health and resources. Just trying to find that exact situation, but I can't really find it, unfortunately, but hopefully you remember when that was. So you're looking for better resets, helping your AD carry, also pushing in lane better. But yeah, there was a couple of points in lane where it was just like, this might be a situation. It was the level 2 one, wasn't it? It was really kind of... like outrageous situation here. Like having brush control here, I think right that you're doing here is good. You just need to be really careful about overextending for moves. Like doing that is fine because you got wave here to protect you from stuff. And also the minions can help do damage if you do land that binding. I think it's on this next bit here, isn't it? That is where it got a little bit crazy. It weirdly ended up in your favor, but it's like the things that shouldn't be happening in the first place, and it's just kind of, then they played it badly. Like, this brush control is good. It's scaring the crap out of them, and it's giving freedom for your AD carry. Walking up here like this, though, is super sussy move, and honestly, both of them should just instantly just switch onto you right there. And play into it. I think if you had maybe a different AD carry, I think if maybe this was a Draven or a Caitlyn or something like that, you would probably get away with this a lot more because the damage output of those two champions, for example, are a lot higher than Sivir. So like if you did land a binding here with the Sona having no mana to be able to like really do much here, then you could maybe potentially like looking at doing something aggressive here like this if you knew like, I mean, you're also taking a risk here that you didn't know necessarily where the enemy jungle was, and also your jungle is on the opposite side of the map, so this is also still risky, right? Because you know that your jungler is not on this side of the map, and you're playing into this super aggressively. You don't know where the enemy jungler is. Unfortunately, he's on the opposite side of the map, but didn't know if you actually necessarily knew that or not. Like, if you didn't know that information, which I don't think you did anyway, from how the game was playing at the start, right? Then doing this move is super dangerous, because then if you get caught out here, nothing's stopping like the enemy jungle from coming down here and just cleaning up. Ends up being like 1 or 2 deaths for you guys. Maybe then you're lucky to get one. So you have to be very careful. I mean, luckily, the one thing that you did though, even though you recognize that you put yourself in a really crap situation like this, is that you didn't actually use your binding. So you actually had something to protect yourself to get out of this crap situation, because I think you realize, you know, when you got here, like, ah, crap, I shouldn't be doing here. So I'm happy that you didn't randomly panic, like just bind the Sona, for example. But this is like the most random thing in the world. So that ended up being like a bad trade for you, and then it's just like, then they lost vision of this brush. So the Misfortune Giga overextends into it. And then you're then actually then able to trade because the Civ is then actually in range, and you're actually paired up quite nicely. Right? See how the difference is between, like, if you were to engage like here and how long it would have taken Civ to come up and catch up, whereas now they're engaging into you here and the Civ is not as far away from you, so I'm able to follow up on that play much easier. Like, she doesn't die, but you get the summoners. And then here is when you're looking then for a reset, because you've got really low health and low mana. Civ has got low mana. If you just start, like, you know, chucking your W on this wave here and just looking to get that reset, auto-attacking minions here just to get the reset in as quickly as possible. Like, if you reset here, Civ Misfortune's heal and flash will be on cooldown still when you next come back into lane, and then you can try and do like another play like that if you feel like it. I know you got kind of distracted here by like Zed being in the river. So I think then like that is kind of like okay to potentially interrupt a reset on, and then you need to push in this wave and then reset. But you're not pushing it in as much as you should be, so it's taking longer than usual to actually reset the wave. Like, the urgency isn't really there. And then he'll even still here, like, you should have pushed this in quicker. This is now 3 waves on. This should be a reset, but you're looking to be aggressive here still, and you're drawing Sivir back. Like, Sivir definitely wants to recall. He was already walking away in lane. Like, you don't need to be looking aggressive here. So now you're then, because then now you're having to push in this wave to then reset. And you do finally get the reset off, but it took 4 waves for that to happen. And then by then, like, the Misfortune's heal is nearly back off cooldown. So by the time you actually get back into lane after that reset, the advantage that you had of blowing Misfortune's flash and heal, well, her heal's now back up. So you can't capitalize on both summoners being down potentially. So those are the things that you're going to need to start thinking about a little bit more. But yeah, so yeah, I think your homework really is just to really start thinking about more about macro. recall decision. I think recall decisions need to be sorted out. That utmost urgency is recalling in lane. The laning phase needs to be locked down properly. And mechanically, as I've said, you know, I complimented you many times on it. Mechanically, you're generally playing it fine, like generally sometimes really well. But the recalls are way off. They need to be way more consistent and way more impairing. And fights need to be impairing more with your AD carry. Second one, we need better vision on the map. Okay, I think the warding situation here was really poor in terms of where the wards should have been throughout the entire game. I'm not happy with the vision that you provided, like yourself for your team for this game. And then 3, decision making in the mid game. You need to choose what you want to do and then stick to it. Okay. Whether or not like the Twitch and the Zac situation here would have worked out in your favor, I don't know. But you did, like as I said, if I was at Twitch, I would have been baited into thinking that you were going to help there, and he obviously thought that as well after he question mark pinged you after he died. So you need to make decisions more in the mid game and just stick with it. Like if you've chosen to make a decision, just keep going for it. Try not to keep pulling yourself backwards and forwards across the map, because you're just wasting time and you end up having no time on the map but to actually make an impact on the actual game. You're just walking backwards and forwards, doing nothing otherwise. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that helps you out. I hope that didn't seem like too much of a slating, but I think the win rate obviously is really good on Morgana. I'm glad I saw this game because I was a little bit concerned that maybe we wouldn't be able to get too much. But yeah, there's I think if you managed, I know your win rate already on Morgana is pretty good. But if you focus more on your macro stuff, you need to, because if you do climb out of gold with the current win rate that you got, you're going to find, honestly, you'll find plat and emerald extremely difficult to play through. And you will get punished in those situations that you're overextending in lane more often, because you'll be up against more competent junglers. And honestly, I can see in many of the games, in my own games, that you would have died multiple times with the resets that you were doing. So you do really need to be careful about that. But yeah, all the best.